Hello everybody, happy Friday the 20th of June 2025. I hope everybody's having a great Friday so far. We're going to go ahead and pull some energy in a minute. Just recap a little bit from remainder of this week. Alright, so the overall energy for the week was Esau. Okay, now Esau, I finally figured it out. That's how it's pronounced. Double E/S, not Isa, but Esau, even though it's ISA. Okay. Sometimes it's a little tricky, the phonetics and everything else, involved with the Norse alphabet. Since I don't have any formal training, I had to teach myself. Sometimes books have a tendency to vary in terms of what they have to say in terms of information, and even something as subtle as pronunciation sometimes can be a little bit tricky. But that being said, tomato, you know what I mean? So it does matter. Don't get me wrong. I do believe, I don't want to take this lightly. There's more to it than just phonetics or letters of an alphabet. Like I said, in their belief system, these symbols, which are used now as words or letters of an alphabet, before that were used as a means of understanding the universe in its totality, from its being shaped and all the magical qualities up to the point of its destruction and then, reshaping again, so to speak, which again is found in other belief systems as well. Even though it doesn't go to the full extent of explaining it, even Christendom does speak, of course, of an end time. Doesn't really get too much into what happens after that, except that there'll be a judgment and so on. But the other belief systems, the non-monotheistic ones in particular, do talk quite a bit about, the destruction to bring forth a new creation, which is seemingly more in tune with the nature of the universe as we understand it anyways. Before there can be anything new, there has to be the removal of the old, so to speak. Right? Whether it's a cycle that we're going through or, getting rid of certain bad habits and everything else so that we can bring about good habits. Whatever it is, at various levels. It all works more or less the same way. And our perceptions, they shape pretty much everything that we decide to believe and how we respond to the world as a whole. So it's important to actually try to get to the bottom of what is and is not truth and reality. And it's not an easy endeavor. There's a lot of deliberately created misconceptions out there. And again, this is why I love the world of, I hate to use the word conspiracy, but the word by itself is simply meaning that wherever two or more are working together against a third party, basically there is a conspiracy in terms of a dictionary explanation. But it's far greater than that when you're talking about these parties that really want your energy as a whole. They want to siphon every bit of who you are for their own intents and purposes. And it generally starts with the use of extorting all of your financial means, which is a form of energy exchange. Think about it, right? You exchange your time, your efforts, your abilities, your ability to create or, carry out some task or whatever the case may be for a certain amount of money in response to that. And then, these very powers that do absolutely nothing whatsoever extort a good portion of that each and every, paycheck. So it's a pretty good scam when you think about it. They make it all sound legitimate at the same time. And if you don't do it, you even have those among you who, like the good little, sheepdogs that they are, they don't even need a sheepdog. They basically keep each other in control. It's like an old analogy I'll talk about in a second, but, they will get you back into rank and file and so on if you decide to challenge status quo. Well, I not only challenge it, I want to break it in a million pieces. So, but the analogy I was going to use is just like a bunch of sheep herders one day were on their way to the market, right? Bringing their sheep to the market. Well, on the way, they stopped for a little break, and one of the sheep, he basically broke away from the rest of the herd. Basically he went to top of a hill, and he looked around. For the very first time, he realized there was more to the world than basically the farm in which he was raised, the corral in which he was kept his whole life, and everything else. And just as he was starting to ponder that reality, of course, the sheepdog came up behind him, started nipping him in his hindquarters and getting him back in the rank and file with the rest of the herd on their way to the slaughter. Well, he didn't even get the opportunity really to formulate too much of an idea or, a conception of really what it was that he's seen. He just, for the first time ever, saw that there was something more. And of course, the sheep herders basically, they're just pondering one another. How are these docile animals, how are they able to survive through, evolution and everything else? Because, they're basically nothing more than food for all the other predatory animals that are out there, including man. But here's something to ponder, and that's, we don't even need a sheepdog to get us into rank and file. We do it to one another. So, we may ponder at the reality of these sheep surviving through the eons and everything else, being that they're so easily ascertained as a food source by many other animals. But we ourselves, even though we look at them as being dumb and docile and everything else, are far, far worse, because we don't do any more thinking than that sheep did. In fact, if anything, we've done less thinking than that sheep. And we get each other back in a rank and file the moment somebody steps outside of what's considered status quo. So, like I said, this particular website that I'm trying to put together, and will, once I get out of my predicament and so on, is going to entail far more than just doing daily room pulls. I'll be doing that regularly regardless, and I'll start incorporating tarot on top of that, as well as some other things. But I'm also going to be making documentaries on the information that I have. And that information is expansive. It covers quite a bit of territory. And again, when you have literal facts, not just hearsay or third-party information, but deliberately and absolutely from the horse's mouth in many cases, about what is truly going on in the world, who the parties involved are, and perhaps some of the solutions to these issues. So we can have a world that is truly allowing us to live, in the words of our own forefathers here in the United States of America, to live life, to the fullest, and the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, basically. All those things have been taken away from us once they replaced natural law with, what we call law today. And that's a whole nother subject, and it's a little bit more complex than just to say that it's case law or whatever, because in fact what it is admiralty law. They brought the law of the sea onto land. And again, I know I'm getting on a tangent. I should be doing my readings, but I want to bless you with other things as well, including knowledge. But look it up. They brought the law of the sea onto land, which means you have no rights. You signed them all away. And this is why you have a license for literally everything, to get their permission to utilize your own personal, private belongings. Even though they work for us, they get us to ask them for their permission. And then we have to pay them to, one, keep our rights, and two, to use our own possessions. Think about that for a few moments. And ask yourself, does that show you that you're free or not? It wasn't always that way. It was fairly recently that these things actually came about. In fact, within the last 100 years. So, you didn't need to get a marriage certificate. The state wasn't involved in your personal, private affairs at all. Before the federal income tax, we had, an Army, a Navy, a Marine Corps, and we fought in many wars previous to that. We had roads that were being made and everything else, and no federal income tax. Federal income tax is a fraud. It's a lie. It was never properly apportioned. It was never ratified with the proper number of states, and they did it secretly during the Christmas holidays, and they had people that were literally paid off, and others had died trying to resist its inception. So do a bit of research on the subject, and one book that I would recommend is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's a very well-researched book by a doctor, from a major university and everything else. And there are many others I can recommend later, but just to give you some idea of what I'm talking about, it's not just a bunch of crap that some strange guy that reads runes, told me over the friggin' internet, whatever the case may be. I promise you that everything that I tell you, I'll back it up in multiple sources, not just one, and almost never is it going to be a third-party source. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get back into the runes. All right, so the energy that we got from the past so far, the last 5 days, Sunday through Thursday, was we had Yera on Sunday, and Yera stands for the cycles of the universe, right? There is both a planting, or time of planting, and a time of reaping, or sowing, if you will. That's what more or less represents. It talks about the harvests, the planting. It talks about boons, and boons is just a word that means a wish, so to speak. Getting what it is you desire or wish for. It talks about, again, legalities. Talks about peace and rewards, commitments, results of earlier efforts seen, and prosperity. So it's a very good room. The overall energy for Monday was Othala, another very good room. It speaks of inheritances, legalities, estates, home, house. It says ancestry, your properties and dwellings, inherited property, abundance, physical and spiritual journeys. So in a way, what it's implying, of course, and again, it goes along with what we've talked about the last, previous 3 weeks, is a potential legal suit of some type, and where an inheritance is potentially involved. And if somebody had tried to steal it from you, maybe it is the reacquiring of what is rightfully yours. And I wish you all the luck in the world. And you certainly have all the energy in the world here, at least from the Norse perspective. 4 gods showed up over the last week, so that's pretty potent. All right, we have Thor, Odin himself, and both twins, Frey and Freyr, showed up. Okay, that's very powerful. All right, so on Tuesday we had Manas in reverse. Now, Manas in reverse gives us a little bit more of the negative side of things, which we can expect to see, right? Life is never perfect. So it basically talks about being uninvolved, selfishness, victimhood, egoism, feeling alone and depressed, manipulation, mortality, a sense of blindness, and self-delusion. So I know specifically 1 or 2 people that are going to watch this that it very much applies to. And they should hopefully know by now that I know that they're watching. And I always point out something when it's very specifically, pointed back to them. If they're ever in any way going to grow or correct their problems, and they're going through a hell of a lot of friggin' karma, and if they haven't started, well, they have started, actually. They have started going through their karma. They're going to go through a lot more if they don't get their act together. And this goes for anybody else that's out there. If you resist the lessons that the universe is trying to teach you, they're going to get your attention, I assure you, one way or the other. Usually it's a gentle, push at first. where maybe just, a small voice that's in your head, or a very strong desire, so to speak, to get something accomplished, to do something or to say something, or whatever the case may be. And if it persists and yet you don't respond to it, that's going to become more of a shove. And then pretty soon it's going to be, without a doubt, you're being forced into that direction against your will, and you will resist it, making it that much worse. So, and again, this is about the cycles of the universe, Once you understand all that, it becomes less difficult to navigate through the world. Even when things seem to be falling apart, there's a reason most often. Okay? So that's what Manus is all about. It gives us the, the yang side of the yin and yang, if you will. Now, Berkana is what we got for Wednesday, and that stands for the birch tree, which they reverenced, and the mother goddess named Birch Ka. That's one of her names. She has several. But it means, the goddess of fertility, the great mother, beginnings, healing, desire and purity, fertility and growth, and liberation as well, new beginnings. All these things are basically spoken of by Berkana. So again, it implies that the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. So hopefully, if that's the case for you, that you learned your lessons and you will not have to repeat another cycle. So, this is the whole point of us being alive, so that we learn our lessons, we grow as a result, as a spiritual being, so we can find our way back home, so to speak, to use the Gnostic, perspective on things. Now, on Thursday, we had the rune for Sawillo, and Sawillo is a very powerful rune. It's about the sun. It's about, goals being achieved and victory. It's about power. It's about health. And it's also a time of rest. It's about attack and enlightenment. It's about honor. It's about creativity. So it's got all the very positive attributes and everything else that we hope for. And, actions and so on. I'm sorry, Philip. I'm all out. All out. You ate them all. I don't have any more. My little buddy, the squirrels, come back. So, all right. And the pre-Friday pull, the one that we pulled on Sunday for every day of the week, was Urus. And Urus is a very positive rune, one that I have tattooed on my chest. It stands for the Aruk, which is a now extinct ox. It was a giant, very powerful animal that was hunted to, like I said, extinction 500 years ago. But it represents, as a result of that, hello, little guy. Hell, how are you? How are you? I don't have anything else for you. He's getting awfully brave. It stands for vitality and strength. It stands for courage. It stands for sexual desire, promotion, basically untamed potential. It stands for speed and freedom, energy, action, tenacity, wisdom, potency. It's the mother of manifestation. That's what Urus is. So we're going to find out what the actual energy is for today in reference to that Friday pull for today, and see if it's a mutually beneficial, or if it's something that kind of balances it out, so to speak. So let's see what we got for today. I've already said my prayers, did all my affirmations, and I've already prayed. So I already said that, didn't I? Anyway, you know what I mean. So, all right. So I need the energy for my collective for the present. What is the present energy for the collective for today, Friday? Okay. And I got me a new bag for my runes, much bigger bag, so that I can really, really stir them up good. Another good one. Othala again. So we got this one on Monday, and this does go well with Urus. All right, so Othala means inheritance. Again, legal matters, estate, home, dwellings, success, property, success in legal matters, in other words. Physical and spiritual journeys, property, abundance. So it's a very good rune in terms of physical wealth of some type. But it also talks about other types of wealth too that could be inherited from your ancestry. So it's not exclusive to money and property and so on, even though it does focus primarily on those issues. So very good so far. All right, let's get an influence or two. Let's see what some influences are today, since we have both Urus and Othala, which are excellent, powerful energies. What other influences do we have? Another influence, please. Let's see. Got Manes. All right. It's the letter M in their alphabet. And Manes basically is in the third ayat, or family or group, under Tyre. And basically Manes stands for, just like the name implies, man, mankind, humanity, altruism, the self, modesty, friends and enemies, and things of that nature. So basically your interactions with other human beings as well as your own person, how well you interact with yourself. You're just a curious little guy, aren't you? You want to go home with me? Seriously, can you put a leash on a freaking squirrel? I think he wants me to adopt him or something. He's coming over here. He's like right up here on me now. What's up, little guy? Yeah, I don't have anything else for you. I'm sorry, you ate them all. Little freeloader. All right. So again, Manes is an excellent rune too, and it's upright. It talks about our human interactions, again, which goes nicely with, the potential that we've discussed in terms of perhaps a couple of our personal relationships needing some mending or some attention at the very least. Okay, we talked about that a couple of times this week, and it carries over from the last previous 2 weeks. All right, another influence, please. What's another influence for the collective? Another influence for the collective, please, and thank you. Okay, all right. So we got a rose. Yera. It's the letter J in their alphabet. Okay. All right. So what does Yera mean? And it's in the second ayat, or family or group, and that's the warrior one under Heimdall, the guardian of Asgard. It basically stands for cycles, harvests, both the planting and the reaping, if you will, of your efforts. So it's not just exclusive, of course, to crops. It's just an analogy. So your efforts, whatever efforts you put forward, you can be reaping those in the very, very near future. Again, cycles, legalities, goes nicely with Othala. Again, rewards, peace, and commitment. So a lot of very, very powerful and very good energy. So again, these are all, of course, if you are going through a legal battle, you wouldn't want to get anything different. I mean, these are exactly the kinds of runes you'd want to see in that situation. All right, the final thing we're looking for today is our future energy. What is the future energy for the collective for today, Friday? Future energy, please. Thank you. All right, we got Legus, but it's in the reverse. This is their letter L, but it's in the reverse, as I stated. So, Legos is also in the third family, ayat, under Tyr. Tyr is the god of justice, the great sky god, righteousness, fairness, and all the qualities that go in at that. So what this is about is it speaks about escaping. It talks about temptations, greed, confusion, poor judgment, despair, and fear. All right. Now again, you have the potential of changing, your destiny, especially when you have all of this energy that you've been shared, in terms of what's available, what's already present, and so on. That's all extremely powerful energy. Can easily overcome the potential of this less than positive future. Now, of course, we have booms and busts, we have ebbs and flows, we have all of these cycles of life that Yara, which we got today again, also, reminds us of. And the overall energy of I saw is exactly that. It's like the yin and yang, if you will. That's what it means. Polarity and equalization of those extremes. So with Legos in the reverse and everything else is our potential future, and these are only potential energies. You do not have to succumb to this. And sure, you can, by the sheer desire not to do anything about this potential, give in to your temptations and escape your responsibilities, act greedily, or simply because of your confusion, you have poor judgment, and you can easily fall into despair and fear. Okay? We don't need that to happen. We can overcome each and every one of those things with our proper decision-making processes, doing the right things. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple of oracle cards. I want to try to do that regularly for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the Hidden Truth Oracle. And remember, this covers just about every part of life. It's not just love, okay? But it does talk about love too. So we'll see if it focuses on that or something else perhaps. I'll give you one of those for today to leave you with. Okay, what does the collective need to hear in terms of your design, your purpose, anything that will give them some clarity for today, Lord, to go along with the energy that we just shared in terms of the runes? What other energy can we share with the collective? What is it you want them to know, to be aware of? Okay. All right. These things are so hard to shuffle. All right. So, what do we got? I don't react when people mention you. Okay? I don't react when people mention you. Which probably means if she's that conscious or he's that conscious of that, when somebody's mentioning you, they're probably dying to mention you, or they're probably keeping on the low because they really do miss you, or at the very least think about you. Okay? And of course, this goes along with what we saw yesterday as far as the oracle pulls too, where somebody's missing you and they're not too sure about the future because they didn't treat you so well. So keep that in mind. I'm also going to pull out a love oracle and see if that will help us in any way, shape, or form. What's up, guys? Got a whole gaggle of geese coming and going behind me and so on. I feel like Dr. Doolittle out here, man. I'm visited by everything, including otters, and I'm a little ways away from the water, so right now. So to see him this far out, and get so close to me was a good feeling, What's up, guys? What's happening? Huh? They graze like cattle out here. They just sit there and they eat the grass all day long. One of the mothers, she likes to hiss at me every once in a while, let me know she's in charge. Alright, so what can we get for my collective as far as love? Let's see. says, Hand of Cards. It says, take a chance, risk doing strategic options, and not showing your hand. Gambling. That's an interesting one. I don't think I've gotten that one before. So, Hand of Cards, take a chance, risk doing strategic options, not showing your hand, and gambling. Okay. Well, I mean, you may be gambling in terms of your personal, private relationships if you're not, nurturing it. That's one possibility. For another, it could be that maybe you should go out and play your numbers today. Go play the lotto. It could mean different things for different people out there. So I'll just let you look at that for a second. Like I said, I don't think I've ever pulled this one before. I didn't even know that was in there. So, all right. Maybe I should go play the numbers. I don't typically gamble though. All right. Well, and that's pretty much it today, you guys. So I hope you have a great rest of the day, and I hope this helps somebody. It's illuminating. And again, you guys got the ability to go ahead and put comments down if you wish to interact in any way, shape, or form. So far, you guys have been a little bit on the shy side, or maybe I'm just not the kind of person you want to talk to. That could be. I doubt it. I'm easy to talk to. And besides, I'm a good listener. So I don't have to do much talking at all. I can just listen. But either way, reciprocity is an important aspect of everything in nature. That's what every relationship is basically dependent upon for it to be successful. That being said, you guys, tomorrow's the last day of the week as I see it. And I'm hoping that you guys will have a wonderful rest of the day. Remember now, there's potential however we decide to respond. It could be very, very good and promising with all the other energy that we got, or the potential future if we don't do anything, or if we do all the wrong things, could be a little bit more bleak. So I will have you in my prayers, and I hope that you make the right decisions and do that which is right, which isn't always easy, as you know. Okay? So, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. Bye.